As you all of you are aware that the Vacanze Tata Steel 2023 has started today, and today was the first round. And as we know, it is one of the biggest and toughest event in the world. So the round one pairing was Magnus Carlsen, the world champion in everything. I mean, world champion of classical chess, world champion of rapid chess, and world champion of blitz chess. Was facing with white pieces. He was facing Levon Aronian, who is a very established and a super GM. Both of them has won 12 editions of the Tata Steel, 8 by Magnus Carlsen and 4 by Levon Aronian, and they has faced each other multiple times, and Magnus Carlsen has 17 wins against 8 wins by Levon Aronian, and 43 games were drawn between them in classical chess. So two of the super GMs facing each other in the round one of the Vikings, and I selected this game just to uh, uh, see how these super GMs are preparing, and meanwhile to look at the few lines of the Catalan opening, so that will help us in our games as well. So Magnus opened with d4. Uh, Aronian replied with knight f6. Magnus played c4, e6. That's how the super GM play the queen gambit decline lines. And Magnus replied with knight f3, avoiding Nimzo Indian. And like after this, there will be this Nimzo line. So Aronian played d5, and Magnus immediately replied with g3. This g3, Magnus started playing regularly, almost in every game in which he played d4. After the last World Championship classical match with Nepomniachtchi, so he's once again playing his favorite Catalan. So Aronian replied with bishop e7, and Magnus played bishop g2, and we are in the territory of closed Catalan after both sides castled. And then the move is, let's close this evaluation. The move is d takes c4. Now Magnus replies with queen e2. There are a few lines here for white. White, the main line is queen e2. Knight white can also play knight e5 and queen a4. Knight a5 is a very different line. After knight a5, the black player usually respond with knight c6, and if you take, you usually take with the bishop. Sorry, so you take with bishop. This is a temporary pawn gain. Uh, but as you lost your Catalan bishop, so the game is very dry, and the game continues like this. And black immediately plays e5, and the position is equal. Uh, that is one way to play. The other way to play the this position is queen a4. But after queen a4, black respond with uh, a6. And now you have to understand why the queen c2, the difference between queen c2 and queen a4. Now you are supposed to take immediately this pawn. Otherwise, black will play b5. So you take the pawn, and the black plays b5 anyhow, anyway. And in this position, the black has achieved these two moves, and a better square to fight against the Catalan bishop. So that is one line. Now look at the line that Magnus played in this game, and which is the main line, is that after queen e2, if the black respond with a6, which is the main line, white play this move a4, and now b5 is immediately not possible. So black respond with bishop g d7. So now the bishop has no time to play b5 6 or b5 and then develop on this nice diagonal. So now you are supposed to take this, and now this move is not possible. uh, so black has to develop the bishop like this. Black can also play, suppose uh, in this position the knight is at this square, for example. Sorry, for example, the knight is here, then black has a big shot like this, and if white takes, black will take, and now when you save your queen, you lose your rook at the a1. So that is a trap. And if you don't take, you will lose this pawn, and black is much better because you have lost a pawn without any compensation, and black has a very solid structure. So uh, white has to be careful, uh, and that is a trap that you can apply in rapids games or blitz games. But the most solid line is bishop c6, and here white usually replied with this one, and Magnus played g5. This is the main line. Then the bishop start chasing the queen, and after bishop e4, the queen come to the c1. The queen doesn't come to the c1 immediately after this move, because then the black player will be having this square available for his knight, and his bishop is a very good diagonal. So we want this bishop to occupy this square and get out of this diagonal, go to another diagonal, or take force him to take at the f3 square. So you don't immediately go to the c1, you go to c1 after c2, making this bishop to occupy e4 square. Then in this position, Aronian played this move, which is the one of the main line. You This is the main line, and bishop has to take here, and after takes, you play rook to d1. This rook to d1 is having a threat of this move, uh, and protecting this pawn as well. So what black usually do in this position is this move, and when white attacks the bishop, then the bishop can either take at this square, which was played at 119 times, but this move is played only 8 times previously, before today's game. So Levon Aronian opted for this bishop h7 line. So Magnus replied, now why Levon Aronian opted for this line? Let's understand a bit. One of the game, which is the against the Aljanov versus Nakamura, in this line, after this bishop h7, Nakamura lost this game. So the Super GM was hoping that the same mistake will be repeated by Carlsen. Uh, in this game, after the same moves, when the Nakamura won this game against Aljanov. So Nakamura is playing black. Here Aljanov played this move, and after c6 to blunt this diagonal, uh, blunt this bishop. So Aljanov played queen e3, and after bishop to e7, uh, the bishop was aiming here, so you have to stop it. uh, this move comes knight e5, and it's a very poisonous move because you can take it this point. And after queen takes, you are taking this pawn with the bishop and gaining two pawns, uh, and a rook for a rook and knight. And Nakamura easily converted this game. You can see black is trying to save the game somehow, but white first activated both the rooks and uh, then created this threat at a file, and slowly his king he's improving his king, and now even after sacrificing the pawn he's winning because the king position is very weak for black. So after this move black resigned. So keeping all these ideas in view, uh, Aronian opted for this line. So Magnus played this way, which is the main line, and instead of playing this move directly, Aronian played knight d7, and he's inviting Magnus to play this way. Uh, so Magnus went for this. You cannot take this because you will lose your bishop, uh, as the rook is facing the queen. So if you are not taking, then how you are dealing with this? The bishop is now open, so Aronian blunted the bishop. Now you can play this move, or you can play queen to c3. So Magnus opted for this, pressurizing the a5 pawn, and this was a brilliant preparation by Levon Aronian. This is the computer first line, and here uh, the lines ahead is very complicated. The best move here is knight to c4, and after queen to c7, you take the pawn, and the black is getting activity for the pawn, but the black is will be regaining the pawn. Now the same threat you cannot take with the queen because this white will take with the bishop, and if you take here with the queen, which is not a good move, you have to take here, and when the knight returns, you have two bishop versus knight and bishop, and both sides have five pawns, but the position is equalish, and this will end in a draw. The white is slightly better, but for at a super GM level, that will be a draw. So very complicated line chosen by Aronian. He was inviting Magnus to play this move, but Magnus had some other ideas, and he played knight takes a5 immediately, because if you take with the rook immediately, then this knight is hanging. You will take the knight. If the knight is retaken, he will take back the rook. So Magnus will be exchange up. But Aronian was fully prepared, and he took this pawn with the bishop first, and after that he took the knight. Now, if Magnus took the knight at d7, and as this rook is loose, so if queen takes, you will take back, and you are much better. You are pawn up. So what Aronian had in mind is this move. Brilliant move, and it is all home preparation till now. So now if you take the queen, he will take your queen with check, and after you save this, Then he will take the other rook, and now two rooks for a queen, and brilliant position for black. And the black will double on the first rank, and there are so many problems for white to deal with. So black will be much better. So in this position, Aronian played this. So, but Magnus was not interested to go to these lines. He simply took here, and although Magnus is uh, materially equal, but there is no chance for black to mobilize these two pawns and get a pass pawn. So Magnus established the rook at d6, and now his plan is to place the queen here and then push this pawn here and then start pushing on this side. So Aronian played a rook to a8, and Magnus replied with bishop f3, because after this check he doesn't want to block with bishop and get a very passive position for the bishop. So the same likewise, black cannot play this move queen to a5, because after this you will take and black is checkmated. So black has to solve the back rank issue as well. So Aronian played this move, uh, bishop to g6, and then Magnus pushed the pawn, and then after that queen g2, rook to b6, queen to b6, and Magnus tried to activate his pieces somehow, and now uh, this was uh, Aronian attacked the e5 pawn, but Magnus was invited to take the pawn with a tempo. He took the pawn, but now lost the tempo. So the queen will get here, and Aronian was very careful enough, and he immediately took it uh, e2, and Magnus has no time to take this bishop, so he opted to threaten checkmate, but Aronian removed the bishop to get a square for his king. So takes, and here Magnus took this pawn, and after this move, because the queen is coming and threatening the checkmate, so Magnus opted for a draw at move 39-40. So a brilliant game between these two players. You can see the game was well prepared till this point, and even these were home preparation for Aronian. Aronian has prepared this line, and up till here, these all Aronian moves are computer first choice. And if you look at the game evaluation, you will be surprised. Only one inaccuracy for Magnus, zero mistake, zero blunder, and 7 centipawn loss. While no inaccuracies, mistake, or blunder for Aronian with 6 centipawn loss. So accuracy is 98 for both players. Amazing game played by both of them. There is also a game of Carlsen with Ali Raza just few months back in the same line, and here the Ali Raza played this move. It was a complicated game as well. So instead of going for this line, Ali Raza opted for this line, and then the game continued like this. Ali Raza took the pawn, uh, and lost the pawn at b7. A nice tactical battle, and that ended in a draw as well. Another important game to look in these lines is Vidit versus Anish Giri. Anish Giri versus Vidit, which Vidit lost just after these moves. This was the same line, and Vidit was playing black. Here he allowed this pawn uh, to move up and opted for knight a5 a6 line. So grandmaster consider the games of other grandmaster and then prepare some new things, and that is simply winning the white is exchange up. So thank you so much. Very nice game. We will follow the further games. For now, please like and subscribe, and good night.